welcome to our daily culture magazine here on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you so much for joining me. Today on our show, a new photography exhibition that started with a blog. Making boutique beer in Israel. And the 10th anniversary of Marlon Brando's death. But first, some cultural headlines. Forbes magazine has released its annual list ranking the top 100 celebrities in the world. At the top of the list this year, Beyoncé, the pop superstar, has enjoyed endorsement deals with Pepsi and H&M and great success with her Mrs. Carter World Tour. Each show on the tour reportedly brings in an average of $2.4 million. Next up on the list is NBA star LeBron James, who has deals with Nike, McDonald's, and Coca-Cola. Rounding up the top three is Dr. Dre, who is now making a staggering $620 million a year thanks to the $3 billion sale of his headphone brand Beats by Dre to Apple. Interestingly, the first actor on the list is Robert Downey Jr. at number 10, and the top 10 includes 5 women and 7 African Americans. In other news, after fans lost all hope, cult TV show Community will be resurrected. Community, whose cancellation has been announced in May, has already had troubled past, with the show's creator Dan Harmon fired and then rehired a year later. Harmon tweeted on Monday a picture with the hashtag Community Lives On and the logo of Yahoo Screen, the website's streaming service. The deal to create a 6th season of the show has been announced just hours before the expiration of the cast's contracts. This is just the latest case of a show being resurrected on a different platform, the most famous being Arrested Development's run on Netflix. At the age of streaming and video on demand, it seems cancellation really isn't the end. Daniel Chechik is a photographer and curator. His blog Exposure at the Haaretz newspaper website features work from young up-and-coming photographers. Now the work is moving from the virtual space to the Jaffa Art Salon for a new exhibition, Traffic. It will open on July 3rd and feature 100 works from 25 different photographers. Very happy to have Daniel Chechik here in the studio. Thanks for coming in, Daniel.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Coming in again, should I say.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, how did this exhibition come about?
Well, the blog opened almost a year to the day. And a few months after I opened the blog, which Haaretz gave me a green light, and I'm very thankful. I think it was an amazing initiative, first of all, that I got it going, but obviously that I got the response that I got from them.
It's very successful. I check it out pretty often.
Well, it was wonderful, and it still is wonderful to give amazing photographers who don't always have the platform, this platform that goes out to tens of thousands of people, literally.
Yeah.
Just to fix, it's also alongside young photographers. There's also some very well-known,
established photographers.
I wanted to create a very wide spectrum of photographers, and that's why we're going from the unknown to the very established.
So how do you choose the photographers that will take part in the blog?
Yeah, well, first of all, there's things that I discover on the web today, through Facebook, through amazing blogs, through the New York Times Lens blog, through, from here to there, you can find endless amazing imagery. And also, my email is open to anybody who wants to send in images, and I'm always...
And do a lot of people, do you get a lot of...
I get a lot. There's always that one that jumps out suddenly. I'm more interested in series of photographs than just a great image. Sometimes I'll get 15 great images, but they're not connected, and that doesn't interest me. Today, I think photography is going to storytelling, and the idea is to send me 10, 12, 15 really good images that tell a story.
Now, do you think that as a photographer yourself, you choose things that other curators might not go for?
Naturally, I hope so, that I have my own, my own voice. I hope I'm not going after anyone here. I try to listen to myself. I don't only go on my taste alone.
Yeah.
I also go on things that I think is interesting to the audience, and I want to see out the response. So it's not only, okay, I really like this, let's put it up, but this is interesting. I try to look more at interesting than good.
Yeah. Now, you've chosen a few works that will be at the exhibition. Let's take a look what you brought us. All right. What can you tell us about this?
We'll start with a series by Zoe Grindea. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. She's one of the first posts. I think it went up maybe a month and a half after we went up with the blog. And she, instead of sending her kids to camp or giving them an iPhone or sitting them in front of the television, she decided every day of the summer to put a set, photography set obviously, in their living room and let the children photograph, and she photographs the children. And there's an amazing dialing of creativity and of magic and of fantasy that happens throughout this summer. I gave her 2 posts, one's after 30 days and the other one at the end of the summer. There was a lot of controversy, especially in the talkbacks. People didn't like that kids are photographed in this manner. Some thought it was borderline provocative. I obviously thought that it was okay. It does scratch some kind of level of provocativeness, but that also what makes it interesting.
People out of their comfort zone might be actually a good thing.
Sometimes, yep.
Let's keep going.
Dudu Bachal, 10 years photographer Haaretz. I personally think he's an amazing portrait photographer. Here we see Lil Dayan. Just a beautiful portrait. I gave Dudu also a substantial platform where we showed 12 of his portraits, all using natural light. Most of the the people who are photographed, are looking right back at the camera.
Just out of curiosity, was this taken before or after Asi Dayan's death?
Much before. I think 2 years even before.
All right. Let's keep going then. See what else you've got.
Itai Bar Yosef, a traveling businessman and a devoted photographer, not a professional one, but a very good
Wow.
And he's a very good amateur photographer. And what he did a series called Selfish, which is a very smart name. It has also a strong connection to the selfie and how much we're concentrated within ourselves. And everywhere he went, the hotel rooms that he spent on his business trips, he'd take self-portraits. And this is one of the results. I think this is actually one from Israel. I think in Ramat Golan, but it's a beautiful series and has a lot of content.
Beautiful one, beautiful picture. Let's keep going. Eldad Rafaeli, another very established, very well-known photographer.
He did a large series of very high contrast black and white pictures of the Israeli landscape, dealing a lot with the army, but his intent was to reflect our culture more than show, a wall or a bicycle or Magen David. His intent was to black out all the details, and it's a more emotional response than a visual one.
I see. Very interesting. Do we have another one? We do.
Jillian Laub, super important project called Testimony. I actually had the privilege to assist her about 11 or 12 years ago on this project. One of the hardest things emotionally I have to do. Yeah. She photographed people who were affected by the conflict on both sides of the fence. It's more important now than ever, and the whole series is just as powerful.
Daniel, thank you so much for this. There are many other very powerful pictures to see at the exhibition. Definitely we'll check that out. You co-curated it with
Moran Shuv, who did an amazing job, and I thank her very much.
So thank her for us, and thank you.
Thank you as always.
Beer in Israel is not cheap. In fact, prices in the country are the 4th highest in the world. That may explain why Israelis don't drink a lot of beer, but that may soon change. Boutique breweries are becoming increasingly popular. David Gombin went to meet the brewers of one such brand for a conversation over a cold one.
We head to Kibbutz Yechiam in the Western Galilee. It is here that Asaf Lavi and his family chose to settle in 2006. In this modest building brews one of the tastiest beers in Israel.
I
was the co-owner of 2 bars in Tel Aviv before moving to the north. After the birth of my oldest daughter, I decided to move to the countryside.
It was at this time that he passionately began to brew and soon enough managed to enter the market.
We went and bought an amateur kit of beer concentrate that is stirred in a pot in the kitchen in a fermentation bowl. We cooked it and it worked.
Soon after feeling that there was a commercial potential, he went on to open his own brewery.
The idea was that it is for commercial purposes. It was not just making beer for friends. From the beginning, we thought in terms of marketing. We wanted to produce a range of tastes that can respond to as many people on the market.
The phenomenon of craft brewery and craft beer is growing in Israel, a trend that came from the United States, where greatly appreciated ales, lagers, and stouts are produced on a small scale.
Today's small breweries' craft beers in the United States account for between 15 and 20% of the market. This is huge, millions of liters, I think.
With an average consumption of 14 liters per year per person, Israel are not heavy drinkers. However, they look more and more for quality beer.
We are witnessing a revolution that is taking place here in Israel in the field of craft beer since 2006. This is a culture change. Before, I thought that would change consumption. What has really changed, though, is that people are more knowledgeable and therefore they drink beers of the highest quality.
But what makes a craft beer taste better than a beer from the mainstream industry? Probably its main ingredient, water. This 99% quality is essential for the final result.
My vision is that beer should be local. It is necessary that the water used be local. And the recipe of the beer is adapted to the water, as it was in the past.
But there is one ingredient that Israel lacks, which makes the beers truly local, and that is the barley used for malt. It is 100% imported because it is not grown in Israel. Although beer is not completely local, at least we get the holy water from the Holy Land in our beer.
In a moment, we'll talk about Marlon Brando's lasting legacy, but first a few cultural events from around the world.
The mega show that proves Scottish art is fizzing with energy is by turns ecstatic, eye-opening, and troubling. Generation, 25 years of contemporary art in Scotland is ecstatic, hallucinatory, and the ultimate legal high. Lambie is a rock and roll Matisse, his chromatic cocktails set the mind free. The exhibition will take place at National Galleries of Scotland in Edinburgh until September the 29th. 50 years of contemporary Iranian art offers a chronological look at the country's heritage. The show is organized in sections ranging from the 1960s to the 1979 revolution, the Iran-Iraq conflict, and the post-war period of up until today. Unedited history, Iran 1960 to 2014, runs at the Musée d'Art Moderne en Ville de Paris until the end of August. Wildlife Photography of the Year is the largest exhibition of its kind. The initiative taken by the Natural History Museum in London and BBC Worldwide, hundreds of striking photographs selected in an international competition are exhibited. The display presents moments of life, action, and survival of the animal kingdom. These pictures were taken in all corners of the world. The exhibition will be on display at the Eretz Museum in Tel Aviv until August the 30th.
Joining me in the studio now is Amit Kling. Amit, thanks for coming in.
How are you? Hi.
It's been 10 years.
It's been 10 years.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. But also it seems like he's been, like he's not been with us for much longer, which is true because, he spent pretty much the last 2 decades of his life
away from the limelight.
Away from the limelight. When he came out to do some role, it was usually a minor role. He had 2 Razzie nominations in the 80s, which seems absurd for an actor of this magnitude, really.
Yeah, the end of his career did not put him in the best of life.
But if you think of his last great role, which is in '79, it's Apocalypse Now, as Colonel Kurtz, who is a sort of a hermit. It's almost kind of symbolic because this really is sort of how Brando ended.
You think that's how we should remember him?
It's in a way how we remember him, but it's not really. What's interesting is that it's actually the younger years of Brando that are, I would say, a huge legacy for today's young male actors. Mm-hmm. There's an anecdote about Ryan Gosling that he said that he's Canadian, so when he was looking for an American accent, he just borrowed one from Brando. But really, the young Brando-ness, that injured macho, this dark and the passionate and the raw energy. It's something that I think a lot of today's young actors are looking to replicate.
Yeah.
And we're looking for a new Brando.
No, I think so too. He was a great actor, but his legacy is not necessarily in his roles, but
it's very much mixed.
Right.
Because he really was off stage and off screen as volatile and explosive and makes him a great character.
It does. I'm still waiting for a Brando biopic.
Wow, but who would ever act that? Who has the guts to take on that?
Yeah. Now, what else do you have for us?
Right, Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski.
Another controversial character, much more controversial, may I say.
Even more controversial than Brando.
Easily, way beyond, I would say. Right up there with Woody Allen.
What about him?
Awkward, yes. He's going to shoot, he's going to shoot a movie about the Dreyfus Affair, which really, for Polanski, I don't know if he should really do anything about trials anywhere, anytime. But apparently, I don't know if he likens him, I don't know. But he is requesting from Poland, where he wants to shoot the movie, a guarantee that he's not going to be extradited.
Right, to the U.S.
Yes, if you remember, we went to Switzerland then to receive the award, and that's where he was arrested, and he spent almost a year in jail and then house arrest, so now he's looking for a guarantee.
Well, we'll see if he gets it. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you.
Thank you at home for joining me today. We'll be back tomorrow with a whole new show for you. Please be sure to join us.